This is page 18 in the Coding for Beginners Using Scratch book, and we are going to do some things with a ghost today. So we're on number 1, and it says start a new project, which I have already done, and right click on the cat and delete it. So let's go down to the little cat box down here and right click on it and choose delete, and our cat is gone. And now we want to go to the Sprite Library and choose a spooky sprite. And the Sprite Library, there's a little, it's kind of hard to tell, but that's a little picture of a sprite there. And you click on it, and it opens up the library for us. And we've got a whole bunch of things here. And right now we're looking at everything. All is selected. And we can divide it up into categories. And let's... it's not that hard to find because they're in alphabetical order here, but let's see if we do fantasy and see if that makes any difference. And it is taking a couple of seconds to do this here, and it doesn't look like it did it at all, so we'll just go and we will scroll down. And there is Ghost 2, so we're going to click on that, and then we're going to go down to the bottom. We're going to click on OK, and I've got to move me out of the way here and click on OK, and there's our ghost. Okay, now we're on step number 2, and we want to take a green flag block, and that's an event. When you click on the green flag, that's an event, and so we're going to drag that over, and whatever we put under here is what will happen whenever somebody clicks on the green flag over here. And now we want to add a go to XY block, and so that's moving our sprite, and so that's going to be a motion command. And so look for go to, and here it is, and the middle of the screen is 0 on the X. So just click on that. When it turns blue, put a 0 on top of it, and click on that, and when it turns blue, type a 0 on top of that. And I'm just going to try to run it right now, and he's a little off center. I'm making him way off center so it's easier to see. And what we're going to do is we're going to click on the green flag, and he moves right to the middle of the screen. Okay, so that's doing what it's supposed to do. And now we're on number 3, which is applying something called a ghost effect. And a ghost effect makes the sprite either brighter or dimmer, and this is the brightest it can be. That's the way it normally is, but when you add a sprite effect, you can make it dimmer. So we want to go to the looks menu because we're going to change the way he looks by making him dimmer. So click on looks, and we want to take a set effect block. And so down here is set effect 2, and so that's the one that we want. And we have to pick the effect that we're going to choose, and there is one called ghost. And it doesn't really have anything to do with this particular sprite, because this sprite is actually called Ghost 2, not Ghost. So the ghost effect is something that can be applied to any sprite. It just happens that we're applying a ghost effect to a ghost. And if the ghost effect is 0, that means we're not doing any at all. And the biggest number you can put in here is 100. If you put 100 in there, though, you can't see, he's completely invisible. So we're going to put 95 in there instead. And that means we're making him almost as dim as we can possibly make him. So I'm going to click on the green flag here, and he should get very, very dim. And I don't know if this is even going to show up on my recorder because it's so dim. So I'm going to stop this program, and I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to try 90 on this, and we'll see what 90 does instead. Okay, and now I'm going to click on the green flag up here, and he gets dim, and now he's a little bit brighter. So we're using 90% of the ghost effect, which means he's pretty much going to look like a ghost. And now we're going to add another command. Step number 4 says we want to take a repeat loop, and that is going to be a control command. Most of what we do is going to come from these 4 boxes up here, these 4 items. And so we want a repeat loop, and here's our repeat loop. There's actually a another one down here called repeat until, but this is just a plain repeat loop. And we want to wrap it around a change effect block. Okay, well, change effect is going to change the way something looks. So we go back to our looks menu, and we want to do a change effect command. So here is a change, and we want to put that inside there. Okay, and what we want to do is we want to change the ghost effect. So we're going to choose ghost, and we're going to change it. We're going to do it 10 times, and we're going to change this to a -5. And so that will make it, it'll set it to 85 and then 80 and 75 and 70. And eventually it will stop when it gets to, let me see, 10 times 5 is 50. So we have -50, and it's going to be like down to 40. So we should be able to see the ghost pretty well if we take it all the way down to 40. So let's go ahead and run it this time. And it's going to go fast. So you're not going to really see a whole lot of changes there. And so what I think I'm going to do, this is not in the book, but we're going to put in a control command that says wait. Okay, and we're not going to wait a whole second to do this, but we'll wait like half a second. Okay, so we'll put 0.5 in there. Let me try it again. Okay, so 0.5. And so we're doing that 10 times. So 10 times 1/2 would be 5. So it's going to take 5 seconds for this to happen. So this time it should be a little more gradual, a little bit easier to notice. So let's go ahead and click on the flag, and you see he gets a little bit brighter every half of a second until he finally gets down to 40, and that's what a ghost effect of 40 looks like. Okay, and that is the bottom of page 18, so we're going to stop there, and we're going to continue with the same project. So don't do anything with this, just keep it open and then go open up the video for page 19.